To switch to the Develop module, press the D key on your keyboard or click Develop in the menu at the top right. The Develop module has a similar 3-column layout to the Library module. On the left at the top, you'll see the navigator, which just gives you an overview of if you are zoomed in or zoomed out. Normally, this would be set to fit unless you are zoomed in. Beneath that, we have a series of presets, which are like filters, and they can be used as a starting point for your image. You can actually create your own presets if you use the same sort of look over and over again. Most of the built-in presets look pretty average, so you're best to do the editing yourself. At the very bottom, we have the film strip, and this is how we can jump between different photos in your collection. The Develop module generally operates in a near full screen mode. Over on the right hand side, we have all the different tools for editing and developing our photo. The first one you see there is the histogram. The histogram gives us information about our photo's overall exposure. The left is pure black and the right is pure white. Everything in between is the different colours and levels of grey. Wherever we see peaks, it means that there are lots of pixels in the image at that particular position in overall brightness. If we see lots of peaks to the left like we do in this image, we would guess that it's a darker image. If we see lots of peaks to the right, we would guess that it's a brighter image. For an image like this, where the seagulls should be white, we should be seeing peaks to the right of the histogram, but we're currently seeing peaks on the left. This would indicate that this image is underexposed. To correct this, we're going to use the exposure tool, which you'll find in the basic panel. The Develop module organizes the tools into different panels depending on the type of tool that you're working with. Many of your photos will have 80% of the edit done just in the basic panel. The other panels are more specialized and can give you more advanced effects and results. We will look at those a little bit later on. Adjust the exposure of the image by dragging the exposure slider to the right. As you do this, you'll see the image get brighter and the histogram moves to the right. Find a point where the image looks correct to your eyes and not too bright. Congratulations, you've just completed your first edit. If you find you've made a mistake and want to change your edit later on, just come back to the Develop module and adjust the exposure slider once more until you're happy with the result. If you want to reset the slider, just double click on the word next to the slider and it will reset. Let's move on to the second photo of the overexposed man. We can clearly see that this image is too bright. You can get some guides in Lightroom that show when an image has actually gone to pure white and clipped and lost information by pressing J on the keyboard. Any areas of the image which are pure white will turn red. If you have any areas of the image that are pure black, they will turn blue. With highlight and shadow alerts turned on with the J key, drag the exposure slider to the far right and you'll see nearly the entire image turns white. The clipped sections will show a warning in red. If you drag the slider to the far left, you'll see small portions of the image have turned pure black, indicated in blue. Edit this image until you think the exposure looks correct. There may be some small areas on the top of the shirt that still are overexposed. It's okay to have tiny parts of the image overexposed or underexposed, as long as the overall image looks correct. In the next image, the close-up of the woman, we're going to adjust both exposure and contrast. Adjust the exposure until you think it looks correct. With this particular image, once we bring up the exposure, the contrast starts to disappear, so we're going to add some back in. Start to play with the contrast slider until you're happy with the results. We can either add or remove contrast to the image. Try not to push the contrast too far or the image will start to look artificial.